Yo, what's up, guys? Today's commentary is a Sona commentary, and I wanted to highlight the difference between what makes a good Sona and a great Sona. So I think a great Sona player is a person that really knows Sona's limits. They'll know when she can be played aggressively. I know that sounds kind of weird because when most people think of Sona, they think of very defensive playstyle where they try to scale, which is partially true. I think in a lot of cases, you definitely want to play more defensive than aggressive just because you don't have a lot of opportunities to be aggressive, but a great Sona player kind of knows those opportunities when they can go forward. That's going to really depend on the matchup. You're going to have a lot more opportunities for when you're playing against Enchanter than like engage, but there are definitely times during engage when you can walk up and kind of trade out your abilities. In this draft, it's Warwick Kaisa, and I picked third here into Azir Milio. I just counterpick Sona here. I don't really care too much about the AD carry synergy. I don't really think there is any AD carry synergy with Kaisa and Sona, but it's more so for the counter pick into Milio. Sona is a pretty hard counter into most enchanters, just because in most enchanter lanes, it's going to be even, and Sona can just outscale the other enchanter. So that's why she is one of the best counter picks. And then for the rune page here, I'm going Airy with Resolve Secondary. Pretty standard page. I like taking Celerity. I think Celerity is a lot better than Transcendence. And then the shards, I like going Adaptive and the movement speed shard. I think that's the only really big difference that I take from other Sonas, but I actually prefer the adaptive shard over the CDR shard just because I think you have too much CDR on Sona from her passive. Once you have 120 stacks, you'll get 60 CDR, and then from your items, you'll also have CDR. And then for the movement speed, when you combine it with Celerity and Swifty Boots, you're just super fast and you're just unchaseable. The lobby for this game was around Masters. Getting into the laning phase, we did a standard 5-point, but nothing really happened. Vayne, Milio into Kaisa Sona. I want to play for level 2. I did start Sweeper here because against Milio, if I get control of the bush, I could just have my Q off cooldown. And this is a small thing. I go for an auto Q auto here, so I auto twice. You can do that by cycling out your passive. You have 2 stacks, you can get 3. I'm playing super aggressive here. Notice how far up I'm playing, very forward with my Kaisa. When Vayne tries to go for a trade, I'm making sure to just automatically target her. And if she isn't fighting, then I am hitting the minions for 2. So because I am autoing the minion wave so much, we are able to get level 2. And I use my sweeper after we do get that prio, or we do get level 2, because otherwise if I sweep early, then Kaisa can might use her autos to clear the ward, and that might be the difference between us getting 2 and not getting level 2. So as you can see here, I'm playing super far up. I'm kind of just waiting for Vayne to auto a minion so I can go for an auto or a Q. Vayne's respecting it, so then I kind of just wait for her to walk up, and then I get the double Q off here on Vayne and Milio. Also, Vayne and Milio have bone plating, which is really terrible into this lane. If anything, you want second wind. Bone plating is only really good into engage champions. So I'm playing the bush here, playing super far up. I force the ward from Vayne, which is amazing for us. I don't know why Vayne's trading here. We are level 3, so we're just going to automatically win this. That was a giant mistake on their part. But, yeah, they did drop... Vayne dropped a ward into the bush. So that means that they have no wards for the river because Milio dropped his ward in middle bush. And so this is kind of another reason why Sweeper is just such a great start, is because that lane pressure forces out wards, and in doing so, the enemy won't have wards for the river. So I am just kind of queuing the enemy just whenever I get a chance. One thing with Sona is that you can definitely you become really easily, so you don't want to, like, I could W Kaisa here to heal, but I'm just kind of really smart about my Q usage. Warwick wants to go for a gank here. I want to look for dive, but Vayne walks up, and then Warwick goes in at a really good time, and so we are able to get the gear off. I'm going 2 points Q in this lane because I know that this is a really good matchup for us, so it'll be super free. I think a lot of Sonas go W max, but there are cases where I think 3 points Q or even Q max is good, and this is one of those lanes. So Emilio does a good job at canceling Kai'Sa's back. And so I really wanted to back, but I saw Kai'Sa push. And trying to push this out was kind of a big mistake because Vayne's going to come back in time. She does, we're not able to push the wave in, and then kind of worst case scenario where Kai'Sa tries to go for Emilio, but ends up dying. And yeah, that sucks because we had a lead, lane was free. Whenever you have a lead on a Sona lane, it's just like, feels like you already won, but yeah, we kind of made it even that. For my first back, my item components, I'm going Am Tome and a Fairy Charm. So I think that generally Sona on first back, Boots is good with like a Ruby Crystal. I think buying the flat health tends to be a lot more consistent in lane. But in this lane specifically, I'm going Am Tome with a Fairy Charm, just because I know that I can just dominate lane and really bully them. I know a lot of Sona players like going tier, and I think tier is really suboptimal. I think you could, if you're smart about your cooldowns early, and you just take trades with Mana Flow Band, like you don't really need tier. And 400 gold is a very big commitment. 400 gold, like I'd much rather use that 400 gold to getting a early Helia. So come back to lane, just looking to play super aggressive. I want to make Vayne trade a Q for that cannon. And then there's a fight that breaks out into river. I honestly should have went to the river first. I kind of tunneled here, but it's fine. The enemy drops 3 caster minions to kind of chase me down. I knew I would have been fine just because I have purple cord, and so I can slow them if they do catch up to me. Warwick dips into the dragon pit with a ward, so it's like really awkward for him to kind of like stay in the area. Warwick starts dragon, which is honestly a giant mistake because, I mean, look at our wave. It's just big. We won't be able to really rotate to him if their bot lane rotates. So I walk up to take a trade, and then they look to all in me. I felt like I kind of needed to put a little pressure into lane to make their bot lane not move to dragon, which is why I have to burn flash. Kind of a bummer, but yeah, I think otherwise it just Warwick would have been ran over. Their bot lane does rotate, but they back off. I'm assuming it's because their jungler was there, so that was we lucked out really hard on that. Warwick took a really bad dragon call there, but it worked out. We see them recalling on board on try. So I want to look to recall, maybe go for grubs here, but we need to push in one more wave. And then I see that Graves is already on grubs. So I'm already too late. I still want to back though because I am low. Kai'Sa just ints again, which really sucks. Not really much I can do there. So I just kind of leave her. This is a pretty important skill to kind of learn in solo queue, is that like when your teammate takes a bad fight like that, important to just leave them than to try to go in and save them. I find that a lot of players that I coach tend to have that problem of like wanting to, you know, help with every play regardless of it being bad. But yeah, if your teammate's making a really bad decision to take a fight, sometimes you just gotta leave them. You don't want to fall behind, especially on enchanters. So yeah, it is definitely a skill to kind of know what fights you should be avoiding. I think that like there's such thing as like over committing, and then there's such thing as like under committing to a lot of fights where it's like, oh, you'll only take like, I don't know, like 70-30s, and you're missing out on those opportunities of like 60-40s or like even 50-50s. But yeah, in solo queue, you know, you obviously want to take just high percentage fights, and smarter you are about it, the easier it is to climb. So I want to push this wave in. Lux pings that Azir is Mia. I want to go ward try. I suspect someone's in there, so I like kind of juke as I walk in, and then Graves is in here. And then I end up almost dying. I need to burn heal here. This was my bad for sure. We knew that mid was Mia, so I should have just sat back and just waited rather than to go ward. I thought I had a little window there to ward before Azir can rotate bot, but there's no real difference between me warding that and then me just like sitting bot and waiting for Azir to show on the map. So that was a mistake looking back at this VOD that I made. Try to go on Kaisa, or sorry, we try to go on Vayne Milio here. Warwick is here, but fortunately they are able to avoid the gank because they are playing Milio Vayne, so they just run away. And I'm just dewarding here. I know Kaisa's getting back, so I'm just getting my wards in. The kind of awkward timing. I'm decent with my AD carry just because I did face check the bush and I had to go back. So because I have nothing to do, I'm kind of running mid here. I see that stuff is happening, so I want to maybe help because sitting bot here is not really going to do anything for me. Lux ends up chasing Gnar, and so I'm just kind of picking these minions mid here, and then I'm just going to run back. So that might not have been... That might have not seemed like a big deal of me just like sitting under the tower and getting minions, but those 4 minions would have gone to a waste. So it was good that I got that EXP. I want to ward C-Bush here, but I saw that crowd was taken, so I kind of just like go back around. And then I'm just using my support stacks because I have 3. So I'm 3 points Q here. I actually go W now over maxing Q. I think that 3 points is kind of enough for lane. And so we are just kind of chilling. We're slow pushing this wave. There's, I think another big mistake a lot of support players make is that or just bot laners make in general, is that they'll just kind of like shove a wave without really thinking about what they can do. In times where you're not really sure what you can go for, it's a lot better to slow push because you can convert that crash wave into something. Fortunately, we don't really get anything here, but yeah, it's just fast pushing a wave without... Basically, like, for every wave, you want to have a plan on... You want to understand why you're doing certain things, right? Like, there are times where fast pushing makes sense if the enemy is resetting and you have a timer, but outside of that, like, if you don't know what to do, it's better to slow push a wave. So they start dragon, and we make the right call of just pushing out waves. So they are forced to lose out on waves if they want to come to this dragon, but then Azir gets caught by Lux. It's a little hard for us to take this fight because we are split, but yeah, we were able to get the pick on Azir, so they're kind of falling apart, and then Jax comes in with the TP, so we are able to clean them up. I don't even think they got dragon. And yeah, when you're at this point, like you're 003, 004 on Sona, you have 3 grubs, and you're able to get first tower here, like life is good. So this is kind of another important thing. If you have 3 grubs, then it's really easy to take bot tower, so just being kind of aware of that. It was really good that Jack stayed because he was aware that we could just like melt towers. So we were able to get first tower bot, and then now we're just going to rotate mid and play for the next objective, which is going to be grubs. I'm sitting on like an awkward amount of gold. I'm 40 away from 50 boots, so I was gonna stay, and then I wasn't, and then I was like, I might as well stay just because I was gonna get it really soon. So I got boots of swiftness, and we have feats as well. And I have a 14-minute Helia. And once you have like a 14-minute Helia, basically I want to take like any fight possible because I know how ahead we are. Lux pings me off for this blue, so I give it to her. And I'm looking to go set up grubs here, but Warwick is fighting on raptors, so we take this fight instead. I hit the vision cone so we can have more info around their jungle. Warwick jumps onto Azir, and then we get separated because of the Azir ult. I barely am able to not make it, which sucks. But, yeah, the enemy is kind of fighting in this choke. Lux is able to find an angle here, and yeah, we're just able to wipe them. Like I said, like, because I know I am strong, I really want to fight, like, force a fight for anything. If you're the enemy team, like, I guess if you're Emilio, one thing you can do is, like, oh, be aware of that I do have Helia and, like, kind of ping my team off, but they end up fighting anyways, and then we kind of just, like, just destroy them in their jungle. So, still want to play for grubs here. I have a deep ward already on their raptors, near the bush near raptors, and so I'm kind of like putting wards onto both sides. We get mid prio Kaisa backs, and I'm just trying to get back to Warwick without showing myself mid. It's a little dangerous for me to walk through mid into the river bush because they can just be waiting there because we don't have vision. We know that they entered that side though because of the ward. Clearing out wards here. It's at this point, like, it's just really hard for the enemy to play just because we have outer turrets at 16 minutes, and so we just have a lot of control for anyone that steps up. And you know, their Vayne being the 80 carry moment where it's just walking up illegally, ends up dying, and I'm on tier 3 boots. Tier 3 boots is just insane when you combine this with celerity, your movement speed shard, and your E on Sona. You're just really zooming everywhere. One thing I wanted to highlight is my support item, Bloodsong. So a lot of people ask me why I always go Bloodsong, and I think Bloodsong is best in slot for Sona, just because Dreammaker isn't that great because you proc it very easily with your auras on your Q and E because of Airy Shield. So there's a lot of value that you lose just because you're going to trigger it randomly, and then it's just on cooldown on times when you actually need it. Whereas Bloodsong, like, you should be playing around your passive, right? So it's really easy to always get value out of it. And we're just kind of taking over their jungle. So I always talk about ward setup on the top side, warding the entrances, so it's just really hard to walk in. And in doing so, we are able to basically box out their jungler, even if their jungler wasn't behind. Now it's just very hard for them to play. So I actually opt to take the Scuttle Crab and break top with it, and not the inhib, because getting an early inhib is pretty bad. You'll see a lot of players, like, even though they can take inhib, they'll never take it early, just because it denies you gold and it lets the enemy farm for free. So we do get the top tier 3 and the mid tier 3. And now we are going to shift our line of vision into bot side because of the tier 2 tower that's up. And also Otacon that's coming up in 50 seconds. At this point, the game is pretty much over. I think out of lane, if you get this far ahead on Sona, it's just really hard for the enemy to come back. Setting up vision using the vision cone as leverage. And now we can just like walk in. Yeah, yeah, at this point the game is pretty much over. We just can run in. Enemy can't really do anything. We get this crazy wombo and then yeah, the game just ends. So that was my Sona commentary. If you can, I think it's always important to limit test on like any champion, but on Sona, that is playing aggressively is what's going to make the difference between a good Sona and a great Sona. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys learned something. That's it for this commentary.